Bonjour mes amis, en France, je m'appelle Mitch Albom. Ça c'est tout mon français, so I'm going to speak in English now. I am a writer. Actually, I started as a musician. The piano over there that reminds me of that. I played music in America and in Greece and other places. And then when I didn't succeed at music, I started working at a small newspaper. One thing led to another. I began to write sports. And I probably would have been a sports writer my whole life, except in 1995, I saw an old professor of mine who I had been very close with back in college, and he was on television. He was talking about what it was like to die from a terrible disease. And it was only because I happened to be turning the knobs that I saw him on TV. I went to go see him, and I saw how sick he was, and I decided ultimately to write a book to try to help him to pay his medical expenses. It was supposed to be a very, very small book. Nobody really wanted it in America. Most publishers said no, not interested. But that book was called Tuesdays with Morrie, and when it came out, it was very small, but it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think today there's maybe 20 million copies of it around the world in about 40 or 50 different countries, including France. And so on account of that book, I was blessed with the opportunity to write other books. And I wrote a book called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, which was a novel. That was my first novel, and knock wood, that was successful. And one thing led to another, and I've written a number of books, all of which have similar themes about what's important in life or what we don't understand about life. And I have a new one called The Timekeeper, or in French it's called Le Passeur de Temps, which is not exactly the translation, but it's close enough. And mostly it concerns itself with the theme of time, because everybody I know is concerned about time. What time is it? How much time do I have? Am I being efficient with my time? How much longer do I get to live? But nobody seems very happy with their time. And so I decided to write a book about the very first man on earth who ever began to count time many thousands of years ago. He was a boy, and he put a stick in the ground and he measured the shadow of the sun, and he began to count the minutes. And in my book, he's punished for doing this, because it turns out that man isn't supposed to count the minutes on his watches. He's supposed to live the minutes. And so he's punished, and he's sent away to a cave for an eternity as his punishment. And finally, he's given the chance to come back to earth in our time, in 2012 now, and he has to meet 2 people on earth. One, a very young person who doesn't want her time anymore, and one, a very old person who wants too much time. And he has to teach these 2 people what the true meaning of time really is. And if he succeeds, then he's finally free. But we find out if he's really learned his lesson, and we find out if these 2 people have learned their lesson. Because I think the most important thing we don't understand about time is that it's not about counting the hours. It's about making the hours count. And if you can understand the difference between those 2 things, then you've figured out the secret of time. And that's the essence of what this book is about.
Let's go to the kitchen. I've got some things appetizing and new.
Bye, friends. Nice talking to you. See you later. Bye-bye.
There inside the oven, something woman loving friends would laugh if they knew that it's true.